Hey y'all, Grown Black Folks Talk. This is just a brief public service announcement. I don't see anybody else talking about it, so I need to. Because I know that there's a fair number of divestment and hypergamy sisters out there. And I need to draw your attention to something. See, other people who you think you're going to have a better life with actually do who you are. Queen Amani Renos of Kush was the only woman and the only African ruler to resist the Roman Empire. She took Julius Caesar's head off his effigy and buried it under her stairs. She could walk on it every day. Other people know who Nzinga was, Queen Nzinga, who resisted the Portuguese by her lonesome her entire life. Almost everyone knows about Harriet Tubman, but do you know about Annie of the Maroons? Other people know who you are, sometimes a little better than you do. And what you really have to understand is that sometimes if people can't get to who they really want, they will take it out on you. If it should occur that former President Donald John Trump ends up in prison, either behind the federal case taking place in Washington, D.C. under Judge Chutkan, or ends up in prison on a RICO charge which he cannot be pardoned for in Georgia, and there is no possibility politically that he can be removed from either of these situations, you have to understand that black women will be celebrating being the author of this. But if you remember the history of the end of the Civil War, because the Confederates who were let out on parole, all of them went home. Some of them could not defeat the Union. Guess who they and their sons and their grandsons took that out on for about another 100 years. And even to this day, even in the fair city of San Francisco, none of what I'm talking about is theoretical. The KKK held its most recent rally here in 2016. Talk about it's the last chance for white people. A mere 5 blocks from where I sit in the Summer of Love's territory, Haight-Ashbury. Last cross-burning incident on a black person's lawn, a mere 15 years back, only 40 miles from here. So if it's like this in the fair city of San Francisco, I got a phone call from a San Francisco friend of mine. His friend's sister was attacked by a group of white men and shot in the face. Now, it was not a heavy weapon. She survived with some scarring, but she's alive. The culprits are being sought. That's San Francisco. Well, we're going to see how long this wind is going to let us be great. That's San Francisco Bay Area. So if that's true in the San Francisco Bay Area, I'm going to need my divestment and hypergamy sisters, especially in the South and Midwest, to be careful. Because the very ones that some of you think you're going to marry up among and find a happier life with, if you don't understand how the revenge rituals in that culture work, you are not safe at any time, but especially not now. Remember how many people voted for Donald Trump in that last election? 65 million. We're going to say 60% of them were men. How much is 60% of 65 million? That's 40 million men. Some of them were black, some of them were Asian, some of them were Latino. You do your numbers and you find that out. But let's just say 30% of them are white men. Do you know who some of those men will be looking for revenge on? And not just the average, regular, smuggler blood cleaner like me. They will be looking for professional black women. And they know that some of us are looking for them, unaware. This video is to help you be aware. I live in San Francisco, California. And because of the gentrification, I have a better chance of meeting a white man than a black man here. But you know what I would have to vet him for? And again, if you're not knowledgeable of these things, then you need to get knowledgeable. I would have to vet him for how well his Christianity has separated him from the mainstream of what is considered European imperialist compromises. I should say European imperialist counterfeit of Christianity. I have to know that. I also have to know how purged is he from 2 things. The leftovers of the paganism to which he's native. Depending on what part of Europe I've been looking at, because my second language is German, so you kind of have to get your Germanic and your Norse. They overlap, but they're not the same. And I'm just like, okay. Whew. And then what's left of the Greco-Roman leftovers, fraternities, sororities, secret societies of that type, and you're still not done because Europe has its own perversions of ancient Egyptian mystery religion. So you have to look at them. These are all these different strands. So you have Constantinianism, which passes for Christianity. You have pagan backgrounds. You have Greco-Roman. And you have bad Egyptian lip readings. All these things come with white man. And then you have America's own particular history where white men remember that they got beat here too. If you do not understand the history of Europeans, and you do not understand the history of America, so that you understand what happened after the Civil War, you're not safe, my sisters who think you're going to be with a white man. You are not going to be safe with 30 to 40 million men who are white any more than you are with the men who are black who are misbehaving. You need to understand that if Donald Trump is jailed and if Donald Trump is convicted and cannot run for president, the agents of the neo-Confederacy and neo-Nazism that just are convinced that they're his man, the agents of white evangelicalism, I will not call that Christianity at this point, who believe that he is their second coming, the agents of chaos that are in that movement that believe they have to create chaos so Jesus will come and rescue them, will pin it all on Fannie Willis and Judge Chutkan, or both. Because, well, got the image of video. Because the image of a black woman taking down a white man has existed since Queen Amani Renas. And ain't nobody forgiven nothing. Just like the South has not yet forgiven the North for defeating it in the Civil War and will not let it go. There is a man named after Jefferson Davis and P.G.T. Beauregard, Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III. And by the way, do you know that Sessions is one half of that crime bill that made different penalties for crack and powder cocaine? The other half of that crime bill was a gentleman named Joseph Robinette Biden, the star student of Dixiecrats Jesse Helms and Strom Thurmond, which means that neither being a liberal nor being a conservative guarantees you safety. So, to my sisters in the Midwest and the South in particular, but even in the San Francisco Bay Area, California, where you think you're safe, pay attention. For my divestment and hypergamy sisters, if there is somehow an upswing in 2025, or sometime after Donald Trump's conviction, if there is an upswing of white men interested in you, be careful. You may not be selected because they finally recognize what a superior person you are compared to a black man. They may not be recognize you as superior to their own women. You may be selected for revenge rituals. Because the man who is going to have the most interest in humbling black women and putting professional, well-heeled black women back in their place, who actually has the power to do it, is not any black man you know. The person who's going to have the most interest in doing that, if Donald Trump gets well and truly jacked up as he deserves, is going to be a Trump-supporting white man in power. And you kind of already see this with some of the things Republicans are doing. But if somehow Miss Willis and Judge Chutkan become the image, excuse me, y'all didn't need to see it, hear that big sneeze. Spring is here. Well, spring is gone, but the allergies have not quite left. If somehow the black woman becomes the image of who eventually took down Donald Trump, understand, be careful. I have my non-lethal self-defense out here today, just to be sure. And I also am sitting up here, for those of you who listen to Chicks with Triggers and Confidence with Love, you might want to go ahead and if you feel that's part of your journey, go ahead on and get that done. Because black men are going to be, some black men are going to be the least of your problems. They're escapable. If you're out there looking for a white man, the other thing is Confidence with Love has a course about vetting for interracial marriage. I have not yet taken it because I'm just not on that page yet, but I know where it is. And I know what my vetting criteria are as a Christian woman who is reasonably knowledgeable about the scripture and about American history and even about European history. I know what kind of things I have to look for. If you are not familiar with this, you might want to go ahead and invest in yourself and get that course. If I can find it, I'll put it in the description. Okay, this is your public service announcement, because I would not have you to be ignorant, sisters. Stop looking at one race of men as a savior. You know, like the gentleman from The Blind Side, whose name I can't remember right now, sitting up here talking about, they didn't adopt me. They took conservatorship, and they took everything, didn't share with me the proceeds of that movement. Look, some people in America still are looking for black people to use as challenge. And if somehow something happens to Donald Trump and black women are perceived as having, quote, brought him down, you're on the menu next, ladies. Am I saying run back to black men for protection? Absolutely not. I would suggest y'all check out Stephanie Perry, Adelia Borishade, and begin to make totally different moves on what you want to do. It is what it is, y'all. Be aware, be careful. This is not the time to be the only black woman in a whole sea of white people on a discretionary basis. That never was a good idea, especially not now. This is not the time to be so in love with the pursuit of the idea of the superior man that you do not vet for this man's character. That was deadly before. It's going to be more so afterwards, after whatever happens to President Trump. Do not die over some foolery that the white man's ice is colder. It never, well, I guess if you're from Europe, you probably do have especially Northern Europe, maybe you do have a monopoly on ice 6 to 8 months a year. Fine. But you also, ladies, don't want to be on a cooling board over believing in this foolishness of the superiority of a particular guy's person just because he's not black. Don't you do it. Keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes peeled. Be careful out here. And as we see the law moving in on Donald John Trump, raise your awareness. 65 million people is 1/5 of the population of the United States. 1 in every 5 people that you encounter on average. In some states less so than others, some states more so than others. 1 in every 5 people that you have met on average in the United States is a Trump supporter. At least for voting record. Now that number may have gone down some. But again, fine. It's 330 million people. Make it 1 in 10 if you want. That's still 33 million people. Don't be out here cock-a-doodle-doodle and crowing and acting a fool. For real, ladies. Because remember, our community men can't back us up. So don't get out there so far ahead of yourself that you make yourself a target. Keep your eyes peeled. Watch your surroundings and your environment. As we get closer to the trial dates for these things, watch your surroundings as we go into 2024. Remember the video I did about moving in modesty? This works for this also. If you feel the need to upgrade your security at your home and also your security options when out and about, some of y'all need to really listen to Confidence with Love and her videos. She's got videos showing concealed carry options. Some of y'all may need to, if that's what you want to do on your journey. If you don't, I encourage you to invest in at least something non-lethal that'll make an impression. Because it's about to get real interesting out here if 1/5 of the total population, and by the way, among adults, that's not 1/5, that's 1/4. Or even 1/3 of adults, almost 1/3, 1 in 3. Keep your eyes peeled. Stay alert. And again, if there is a sudden pickup in white men certainly becoming interested in you as a professional black woman, and you just think you're all this and all that and you deserve that, no. Vet him hard, because some kind of revenge will be extracted. If European and European American history holds sense, Fannie Willis is going to be hard to get to. Judge Chutkan is going to be hard to get to. You're not, unless you do some work to make yourself so now. Be careful. Vet hard. You have to know the soul and the spirit of a man. Don't get so carried away about your fantasy that you let yourself get carried away to your death. For real. Because we've already seen on January 6th, the group of people that we're dealing with, and before that, if you know American history at all, you shouldn't have to ask the question. And if you're not up on these things, and if you're not paying attention, you're not ready to cross that interracial line. You're just not. can cost you your life. Please be mindful, ladies. It's not the kind of video I like to do, but it's not how I wanted to come back to putting a new video on the channel, but I felt like it was necessary because I'm looking at the foolery online around this, and I'm like, these people are becoming unhinged. And that kind of rage, that kind of diffuse rage that has been circling around is always finding a place to light, because Miss Willis is up front and because Judge Chutkan is known, but they're not accessible. That could easily focus on black women. We are easy, and we'd be also, because we're also perceived as being the strongest Democrats too. So be careful out there, for real. Stay safe and enjoy the rest of your summer anyway. All right, y'all have a good day now. Goodbye.